I've been married to Nora for 6 years now, and we've known each other for 10. Being a Marine means I'm deployed for 6 to 7 months every year as a logistics officer. Yeah, it's tough, but we both knew what we were getting into when we got married. My job pays well, around $130,000 with all the benefits and combat pay, so we live pretty comfortably. We met at a barbecue back in 2014 through mutual friends. I was already in the Marines, and she was an elementary school teacher, making about $43,000 a year. What drew me to her was that she seemed different from other women I had dated. She understood the military lifestyle since her dad had served for 25 years. She was independent, had her own career, and never gave me the feeling that she was in it for the benefits like some military wives I'd known. After 3 years of dating, we got married in a beautiful ceremony with all our friends and family. Her dad, being a veteran himself, was especially proud to have another military man in the family. The first few years were great. She was supportive of my career, proud of my service, and we made the most of our time together when I was home. When I was deployed, she kept herself busy with teaching, her book club, and our group of friends, which included a lot of military wives who understood what she was going through. We had a system that worked: weekly video calls, care packages, and whenever possible, she'd fly out to meet me at certain ports. I wanted to make sure she was taken care of, so I bought her a nice 4-bedroom house in a good neighborhood near her school and got her a new car every few years. She always said she didn't mind the deployments because the time we had together was worth it, and she was proud to be a military wife. We had talked about having kids one day but agreed to wait until I could get a desk job. She didn't want to raise them alone half the year, and I respected that. Life felt perfect until everything started to change. About 6 months ago, I noticed subtle differences in Nora's behavior. At first, I didn't think much of it. She started going out more with a new group of friends from her yoga class, mostly single women or divorced moms from her school. She'd send me pictures or post on social media about their girls' nights at fancy restaurants and clubs, places we used to go together. One night during a call, I joked, "You've been going out more than me lately. Should I be worried?" She laughed. "Oh, please. It's just fun to get dressed up and go out with the girls. You know how it is." I did, and I trusted her, so I didn't push. I figured she was just keeping herself busy while I was away. But then, she started caring a lot more about her appearance, buying expensive clothes, getting her hair done every few weeks, and even joining a gym with a personal trainer. "I just want to feel good about myself," she explained when I asked about it. "You've always looked great to me," I told her. She smiled. "That's sweet, but this is for me." At the time, I took her at her word. I wanted her to be happy. Now, looking back, all these changes were red flags. We were having our regular date night over video call, something we always made time for no matter where I was deployed. I had been back on the ship for about 3 or 4 weeks, and these virtual dates were our way of staying connected. We'd both get dressed up, have dinner and wine together, and just talk like we would if I were home. It wasn't perfect, but it kept us close. That night, I was in a great mood, telling Nora about something hilarious that had happened during training earlier. I could hear her laughing on the other end, and everything felt normal, until she suddenly said, "I have something to say. Let's open our marriage." At first, I thought I had misheard her. The sip of wine I'd just taken went straight down the wrong pipe, and I started coughing like an idiot. When I finally caught my breath, I looked back at the screen, expecting to see her cracking up at my reaction, maybe even admitting it was a joke. But she wasn't laughing. She wasn't even smiling. She had this dead serious look on her face. I was still in a good mood, so I tried to joke it off. "Okay, what's the punchline? What are you up to?" I grinned, waiting for her to give in and laugh. She didn't. Instead, her expression hardened. "Are we done? Can we get back to serious talk?" That's when it hit me. Holy shit. She actually meant it. I put my wine down, suddenly not feeling so relaxed anymore. "Wait, you're serious?" She sighed, like she was already exhausted from the conversation. "Yeah, Nate. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I really believe it would be best for us." My stomach tightened. Best for us? How the hell would that be best for us? She took a deep breath, her voice calm, like she had rehearsed this 100 times. "Because, look at our marriage, Nathan. We've been together for 6 years, but I spend most of it feeling like I'm living a single life." She let out a shaky breath and said, "Nathan, it's practically impossible for any woman to control her urges for 6 months at a time. I'm tired of this cycle." I just stared at her, my brain struggling to catch up with what she was saying. She kept going, her voice filled with frustration. "I've been dealing with deployments for over a decade, counting our dating years. Do you know what that's like? I've forgotten what it even feels like to have sex whenever I want. Half my life has been spent craving it." The way she spoke about our marriage, reducing it down to just sex, made my stomach turn. I couldn't wrap my head around it. 10 years together, 6 of them married, and she was just now springing this on me? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Look, I get that it's hard for you. I appreciate everything you do to keep us going. But this is what my job requires, Nora. The distance isn't something I can change right now. We had talked about the challenges of deployments before, especially early in our marriage. Hell, we even discussed me switching to a desk job at some point. But the right opportunities never lined up, and honestly, I love what I do. She knew that. She had always supported it. At least, I thought she had. Now, she just looked at me with resentment in her eyes. When I suggested we table the conversation for later, when we were both calmer, she immediately got pissed off. No, Nate. We need to settle this now. Then she went off again, about how lonely she was, about spending birthdays and anniversaries alone, about going to doctor's appointments by herself. Her voice cracked, and suddenly, she was crying. I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my frustration in check. Nora, I get it. It's tough. But I miss plenty of important moments too. What the hell am I supposed to do about it? This is literally what you signed up for when you married me. She wiped her face, shaking her head. I didn't sign up for this kind of loneliness, Nathan. I exhaled sharply, rubbing my temples. I thought back to all the advice we got when we first got married. So many people had told us to have a kid, saying it would help keep her occupied during my deployments. But Nora wasn't ready to be a single parent half the year, and I agreed. It wouldn't have been fair to her. So we made the decision to wait until I got a desk job. Now, sitting here, listening to her talk, I wondered if that choice had just made her loneliness worse. But still, opening the marriage? That was completely screwed up. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. Are you breaking up with me? No, she said firmly, shaking her head. I love you, Nathan. I could never leave you. I want to grow old with you. I exhaled, relieved for half a second, until she kept talking. But I'm about to turn 40. In a few more years, I'll hit menopause. I have so little time left to enjoy my sexuality. Half of my golden years are just waiting for you. Her voice cracked slightly, but she kept going. I don't want that. I want to live a fulfilling life, and I don't want to die with regrets. Never in our entire relationship had she talked about sex like this. We had always had a great physical connection when I was home. Sure, we used toys and video calls to stay intimate during deployments, but she had never once complained that it wasn't enough. And now, out of nowhere, she was acting like she was running out of time, like sex was this urgent, fleeting thing she had to chase before it was too late. I could tell this conversation wasn't going anywhere good. She wasn't asking for my permission. She was telling me what she was going to do. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. What exactly do you want? I asked, even though I was terrified to hear the answer. She looked right at me through the screen, eyes unwavering. I want to open this marriage and meet other men. My stomach dropped. I have needs, Nathan, she continued, and they need to be met. I'm doing this whether you like it or not. I could barely breathe. The woman I married, the woman who had promised to be faithful through everything, was sitting there telling me she was going to sleep with other guys, and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. I tried to stay calm. Even though every muscle in my body was tense, my hands clenched into fists off-screen. So you want to sleep with other men while still being married to me? She nodded, her face set, like she had already made peace with it. I let out a humorless laugh, shaking my head. And how exactly does that help with the loneliness you've been complaining about? Are these random dudes going to take care of you when you're sick? Celebrate your birthday with you? She hesitated. I don't know if it'll just be physical, or if I'll date them, she admitted. But whatever happens, I love you and only you. I scoffed. Right. They'd just be fillers while I'm gone. She nodded again. When you're home, I'll be all yours. Like I was supposed to be okay with sharing my wife half the year. I ran a hand down my face, trying to process this. How long is this supposed to last? A few years? Forever? She shrugged. I haven't decided. My chest felt tight. I forced myself to ask the question that had been clawing at my mind since she first brought this up. Have you already cheated on me? Her eyes flashed with anger. If I wanted to cheat, I wouldn't be having this conversation, Nathan. She huffed. I thought being honest about what I want was better than lying about it. Some twisted logic there. I swallowed my rage and asked, do I have any say in this? Her expression hardened. My mind's made up. If I don't do this, I'll go crazy. I felt a headache creeping in, my skull pounding from the weight of this entire conversation. My hands were shaking under the table. I couldn't deal with this right now. I need time to think, I muttered. She didn't say a word. She just hung up. No goodbye? No I love you. Just a dead screen staring back at me. I sat there for a long time, numb. And you know what makes this whole thing even more screwed up? I had just left home. 3 to 4 weeks ago, I left home after spending 3 months with Nora. Everything had seemed perfect during my leave. We had gone to Hawaii for our second honeymoon, fixed up the house just the way she wanted, and even talked about finally trying for a baby next year. She had been all lovey-dovey the entire time, constantly talking about our future together. The day I left, she cried in my arms, making plans for my next leave. We had even started putting money aside for our future kid. I had been looking into positions at the local base so I could be home more. That's how serious we were about starting a family. But now, just weeks later, she was suddenly telling me she needed other men. The next day, still trying to wrap my head around it, I asked her, "Why didn't you bring any of this up while I was there? We just spent 3 months together, and everything was fine." She didn't even hesitate. "I didn't feel the need for other men when you were around," she said simply. That's when it clicked. This wasn't some sudden realization about her sexuality or some midlife crisis hitting all at once. She had probably met someone, maybe at her new gym, maybe through those single friends she had started hanging out with more. The timing was way too convenient. Just before I left, she had mentioned this new personal trainer who was so motivating and had been giving her extra attention. I hadn't thought anything of it at the time, but now, it felt like she had been waiting for me to leave to pull this shit. Part of me wanted to believe this was just about loneliness, that she wasn't already cheating, that this was just some misguided attempt to cope with me being away. But I wasn't that naive. My buddy Mike had gone through almost the exact same thing last year. His wife had asked for an open marriage during his deployment. Turns out, she was already seeing someone. They're divorced now. I needed to hear it from her one more time. "Nora, is this really what you want?" I asked, my voice low, steady. "Have you actually thought about what this will do to us? To everything we planned for?" "Yes," she said, without a second of hesitation. Like those 3 months of building our future together meant nothing. I felt something in me snap. I wasn't going to let this go until I understood her screwed-up logic. I took a deep breath and asked about the setup. "So how exactly is this supposed to work? Do I get to see other women too? How do we handle money?" Her answer made it clear just how selfish this whole thing was. "I haven't really thought that far ahead," she admitted. "I just want someone for my needs while you're gone. But when you're home, it'll be just us." I let out a dry laugh. "So, you get to do whatever you want while I'm deployed, but when I come back, I'm expected to be faithful? You can try stuff during port days," she offered, like she was being generous. "But no seeing other women when you're home. I'll be there." I stared at the screen, disbelief flooding my system. "So, let me get this straight. You want an open marriage, but only for you. You get to explore and meet your needs, and I just wait?" She shrugged. "We'll see how it goes. Maybe we can close the marriage again once I'm done exploring." I'd had enough. My patience was gone. "Look, this isn't what I signed up for. I wanted a monogamous marriage. But since you've already made up your mind, I won't stop you. Just remember, I'm not going to sit here and take it. There will be consequences." She had the nerve to roll her eyes. "What are you going to do about it?" I kept my voice calm. "First, you'll need to handle your own expenses. No more money from our joint account. Second, we're cutting all communication. I don't want calls or texts while you're busy with your business. And third, I might start seeing other women too, with no rules from you." She giggled like I had just made some joke. "I knew you'd come around," she said, grinning. "This is going to be fun." Then, in this sickly sweet voice, she added, "I know you won't go too far. How could you leave such a ravishing beauty?" She stood up, reaching for the hem of her shirt, ready to take it all off like she could seduce me into agreeing to this insanity. I shut that down fast. "My conditions start now. Have fun." Then I hung up. That was it. That was the moment I stopped giving a damn about her. At first, she kept trying to reach out, but I ignored everything. Then she started posting these obvious date night photos and vacation pics. She didn't show the guys, but come on, a hot tub selfie with rose petals, candles, and 2 wine glasses? It wasn't hard to figure out what was going on. Her sister texted me one night, asking if I knew what Nora was doing. I told her straight up, "Your sister opened the marriage without my consent because she's lonely," between her legs. That must have set her off, because not long after, Nora blew up my phone. But by that point, I couldn't care less. My next shore leave starts next week, and I've already got my brother looking for an apartment. I told him and my parents the whole story, not sugarcoating anything. They were shocked, but they had my back. I also hired a lawyer to start working on my case. I'm not rushing anything. I want to do this right. I've got plans to make her regret every choice she made. I'll update during my leave or after I get back, but for now, thanks for reading if you made it this far. Before I get into what happened, I need to address something really quick. People always seem to sympathize with military wives. Poor thing has to live alone even though she's married. Or what about her needs? And somehow, I end up being the bad guy for not understanding her situation. Yeah, everything they say about it being hard is true, but nobody forced her to marry me. She knew what my job was when she said I do. And let's be real, she wasn't exactly suffering. She lived in our 4-bedroom house with a pool, something she could never afford on a teacher's salary. She drove a brand new BMW that I bought her last Christmas, carried Louis Vuitton bags, and wore a Cartier watch that cost more than her monthly paycheck. Every summer, we vacationed in Europe or the Caribbean. She got her hair done at high-end salons, went on yoga retreats, and never had to worry about a single bill. But funny how nobody mentions those perks when they start feeling sorry for her. Meanwhile, I was the one deployed, missing holidays, birthdays, and anniversaries. And let me tell you something, staying faithful isn't exactly easy for us either. We travel all over the world, stop at different ports, and get access to pretty much anything we want. At port, there are gorgeous women throwing themselves at guys in uniform. Most of them don't care if you're married. My buddies joke that I could have a girlfriend in every country if I wanted. But I never did. I always stayed loyal because that's what marriage meant to me. Some of us still choose to stay faithful, but nobody gives us credit for that. Instead, people just assume all military guys cheat. Now, for what actually happened during my leave. I didn't go back to our house. I couldn't stand the thought of being in the same bed where she probably had other guys. My brother found me an apartment across town in one of those new luxury buildings. For the first few days, I stayed with him and his family, just trying to get my head on straight. My sister-in-law was furious when she heard what Nora did. They used to be close friends, but that loyalty ended the second she found out how Nora betrayed me. To clear my mind, I took my niece and nephew camping for the weekend, something I'd been promising them forever. The kids kept asking where Aunt Nora was, and it broke my heart having to make up excuses. After that, I spent some time with my parents in our hometown, met up with some old friends, and without fail, every single one of them said they never trusted Nora anyway. We always knew she was high maintenance, man, one of them said, but we didn't think she'd pull this. That stung more than I expected. Had I really been blind to it all? I posted everything on social media, not to be petty, but to make it clear that I wasn't sitting around miserable without her. My shore leave usually involved these high-profile military parties, real fancy events at five-star hotels. Nora loved those. Not everyone gets invited. It's mostly senior officers and their wives, politicians, and other important people in town. These parties were a big deal for her social status. She loved dressing up in expensive gowns, making sure everyone noticed her. This time, I made sure to post plenty of pictures, especially ones with female colleagues, women way more successful than her. Doctors, lawyers, business owners. Women who actually had ambition beyond being a military wife. It didn't take long for word to spread. People asked about Nora, and I told them the truth. She wanted an open marriage so she could sleep around while I was deployed. That was all I had to say. Suddenly, all those military wives who used to be friends with her started unfriending her. It was like they had been waiting for an excuse to drop her. At first, when she saw the family pictures I posted, she just texted asking where I was staying and why I wasn't home. Then she switched to, "Okay, I'll give you space. I'll wait for you," like she was doing me a favor. But when she saw the party pictures, she lost it. I woke up to a string of messages. "How could you abandon me like this? We agreed we'd be normal when you were home." I ignored them. That night, around 2 a.m., more messages came in, this time, clearly drunk. "I miss us. I miss our life together. None of these other guys mean anything." I still didn't respond. I wasn't playing this game. But after months of silence, I finally sent one reply. "I never agreed to this. You did what you wanted. Now I'm doing what I want." She sent back some bullshit about how she'd wait for me to come back when I was done acting out, like I was some kid throwing a tantrum. She really thought she could just put our marriage on pause while she had her fun, then press play again when she was done exploring. 4 months into my stay, she reached out again, wanting to discuss rules for our open marriage, like we could just sit down over coffee and make a schedule for when she got to cheat. I shut that down quick. "Do whatever you want. I'm not playing this game," I told her. My lawyer had already advised me to keep records of all her messages. He said they'd help with the divorce. So, I saved everything. Then, as if seeing me live my best life flipped a switch in her brain, she started emailing me. "Let's go back to normal. I'm done with this," she wrote, like she could just erase everything and we'd magically be fine again. One email was especially long, full of regret, begging for another chance. "I made a mistake," she wrote. "None of these other guys made me feel the way you did. I realize now what I was losing. I'll do anything to save our marriage." I read it, thought about it for about 2 seconds. Then I just sent back, "Huh." That was it. And I kept doing my thing. When I told my mom about it, she just shook her head and said, "She didn't expect you to choose your dignity over her." She was right. Nora thought I'd eventually fold, that I'd come crawling back because that's how it always went in her world. She got what she wanted, and people just dealt with it. Then one day, she showed up at my apartment. I have no clue who told her where I was living. I only gave my address to close family and a few trusted friends. Someone must have snitched, but honestly, at this point, I didn't even care enough to figure out who it was. I was getting ready to head out for a workout when I heard the knock. I opened the door, and there she was. She looked completely different. She'd lost weight, dyed her hair blonde, and was wearing a tight dress she never would have worn before. It was like she was trying to reinvent herself. But underneath all that, she looked nervous. "Why aren't you staying at our house?" she asked, like she genuinely didn't understand. I didn't even hesitate. "Because I have no intention of living with someone who didn't respect our marriage." She didn't like that answer. Her expression twisted, like she was trying to hold back frustration. "I thought we could figure this out," she said, like we were arguing over what color to paint the kitchen. I just looked at her and said, "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." That's when she started crying. She stood there in my doorway, tears streaming down her face, telling me how everyone in our social circle was giving her the cold shoulder. "None of your friends' wives will even talk to me anymore," she sniffled. "These were my closest friends, Nathan. We used to go shopping together, have spa days, plan dinner parties. Now they won't even return my calls." I just stared at her, saying nothing. What did she expect? That they'd all just welcome her back with open arms after what she pulled? She had built her whole social life around being the perfect military wife, the elegant hostess at every event, the woman who thrived on admiration. But now, all those fancy parties she loved? Nobody was inviting her anymore. She wiped her face and looked at me desperately. Turns out being known as the wife who opened her marriage while her husband was deployed isn't great for your social status. I raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "What do you want then?" She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "You'll find out soon enough," I said, my tone cold and final. Her eyes widened in panic, and she blurted out, "You met someone, didn't you? You love her, don't you? Are you with her?" I couldn't help but laugh. The irony was too much. She was the one who wanted to see other people. She was the one who threw away our marriage for some cheap thrill. But now, at the mere thought of me moving on, she was jealous? She kept begging for answers, but I'd had enough. My patience was gone, burned up months ago. I took a deep breath and snapped, "Get out." She flinched, but didn't argue. As she turned to leave, she threw one last desperate shot at me. "You'll regret betraying my trust." The irony of that statement was almost laughable. My lawyer already had the divorce papers ready. I had planned everything carefully. I would be back at sea soon, and I wanted her served while I was gone so she couldn't show up at my apartment again, trying to manipulate me into reconsidering. The day my ship left shore, my attorney delivered the papers. She called me in a full-blown panic, screaming into the phone. "You betrayed me. You left me broken. How could you do this to me?" She shrieked, as if she was the victim in all this. Then she called my lawyer, insisting that she would fight the divorce till the end. "I won't let him go," she declared, like she had any say in the matter. She even tried playing the victim with my parents, calling them in tears. "Nathan blindsided me," she sobbed. "I never saw this coming." That backfired spectacularly. My parents already knew everything. They told her exactly what they thought of her behavior. No sugarcoating, no sympathy. Then they blocked her number. Not long after, her mother called me. Turns out, Nora had been lying to her entire family. She had told them that we both agreed to open the marriage, that this was some mutual decision we made together. We thought it was a little strange, her mom admitted hesitantly, but we figured it was your personal choice. I shut that down real quick. "No way," I said firmly. "I already told your other daughter the truth months ago. I was never on board with this filthy idea of hers." Nora's mom let out a heavy sigh. "Nathan, she's struggling. Her mental health." "Her mental health?" I cut in, incredulous. "She's struggling because she made choices that had consequences. Everyone cut her off because she burned every bridge herself." Her mother kept going, undeterred. "All those fancy parties she used to love? She doesn't get invited anymore. The other officers' wives refuse to even speak to her. She's completely alone, Nathan." I could tell she actually expected me to feel bad about this. Like I was supposed to be the one to fix the mess Nora made of her own life. Why would my friends keep inviting her when she's not even my wife anymore? I asked flatly. Her mom hesitated before asking, "Is there any chance you could work things out?" I laughed. A deep, bitter laugh. "Not at all," I said. "I can't be the husband of a woman who has kept her legs open for tourists for the last year. Who knows what kind of dirt has gone in there?" Harsh. Maybe. But I wanted them to know exactly what I thought of their precious daughter's behavior. No sugarcoating. No sympathy. Her mother gasped. "Nathan, that's the truth," I interrupted. "And you know it." She cleared her throat, her tone shifting to something almost pleading. "Nora isn't ready for divorce." I scoffed. "Well, that's not really her choice, is it?" I said coldly. "The longer she fights this, the worse it'll be for her. I'm moving forward with my life whether she likes it or not, so she better cooperate for her own sake." Now my phone won't stop blowing up with texts and voicemails from Nora. She's begging, pleading, promising to change, saying she'll do anything to fix this. I haven't blocked her yet. Maybe that's petty, but I want her to see exactly what she threw away. I'll block her eventually. But for now, I'm letting her suffer, just like I did when she dropped her open marriage on me. A few months later, I'm back on shore leave again, and the divorce proceedings are in full swing. Nora has been pushing back hard, not because she actually wants to fix things, but because her perfect little plan is falling apart. The thing is, she's completely broke. That shiny new world of freedom she wanted so badly, turns out it wasn't as glamorous as she thought. All those guys she was running around with, they just wanted a fun time with a married woman. None of them stuck around once the money ran dry. She actually broke down crying in front of the magistrate, admitted that opening the marriage was a mistake. Now she wants everything to go back to how it was, like she can just press rewind on the past year. After I cut off her access to our joint account, she burned through her savings trying to maintain her lifestyle. Within a year, she'd blown through everything. Nora's teacher salary barely covers rent now, let alone the designer clothes she got used to. That's the thing about living large. Once you get a taste, there's no going back. When she first opened up the marriage and I pulled my money, she thought it was just temporary. She figured she could coast on her savings until I came to my senses and started funding her lifestyle again. That was her brilliant plan: play the faithful wife during my breaks, then go wild when I was deployed. Well, that plan blew up in her face. She begs for another chance at every court hearing. "Let's start fresh, Nathan. Please," she keeps saying. Easy for her to say. She's not the one who had to deal with the humiliation and trauma. Start fresh? I scoffed at our last hearing. You mean, pretend none of this happened? Her eyes were red-rimmed, desperate. I made a mistake. I shook my head. No, Nora. You made a choice. Over and over again. And now you're dealing with the consequences. You know what really gets me? She deliberately dropped this open marriage thing on me right when my deployment started, giving herself 6 whole months to do whatever she wanted before I got back. Those first months at sea were awful, stuck out there with nothing but ocean around me. No distractions, just staring at the water and thinking about what was happening back home. Sometimes the dark thoughts got real bad. I can't even describe how hard it was to keep myself together. But that's in the past. The divorce is almost done. Just one more court date. Asset division is settled, and it's fair, even though she's not happy about it. I'm selling the house. Can't stand the thought of keeping a place where she destroyed our marriage. She can't buy me out anyway, since she can't afford half the price. Fine by me. I don't want to hold on to anything from that life. The truth is, I love my new life. I'm doing better than ever. Met new people, got a solid routine going, and I feel free to live how I want. I'm not bitter about what happened. If anything, I'm grateful I didn't let her choices mess up my future. I'm not looking to date right now, but I'm open to whatever comes along. I've blocked Nora on all my social media, but she keeps making new accounts to stalk me. I spot them easily, but I let her look. Let her see exactly what she threw away. Her Instagram used to be nothing but fancy parties, exotic vacations, and beach pics. Now, it's just sad quotes about regret and second chances. Guess that's what happens when you screw up a good thing. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.